Hello, and welcome to the Realm of Ideas Free to All. This is episode 75, The Potential to Generate Novel Utility. This is his ruminations. This is the preview for our rumination that we'll do on Sunday, early Sunday morning. This is something we've been doing, I guess, with this episode 75. We kind of do it, I guess, 75. It's like it's been, I guess, 75 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Now, we started with another platform. We ended up here. But anyway, let's get right into it. We've been talking the last couple of weeks about activities, utility, and how these things particularly kind of play out in my work as an architect and in Julie's work as a painter. So for me, let's just say hi to everyone. I'm Bruce.
Julie. Hello.
That's Penguil.
Hi, Penguil.
And of course, our sponsor, Teas Tea.
Yeah.
Right, the best. If you're not drinking Teas Tea,
then you're just not drinking anything.
What was that? It's like if you're not eating.
That's from Mr. Blandings.
Mr. Blandings says you're not Wham.
Wham.
Yeah.
If
Anyway,
you're not eating Wham, then you're not eating ham. That was his name.
Yeah, Teas Tea is better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't really need advertising; they're just good. But we love it, and kind of like. All right, so basically, we've talked about a couple things that are kind of leading up to this. We talked about activity, utility, the idea of certain relationships, and where we are. So I think that there's a potential where, in the cases of novel utility, we talked about last week, the fact that there are certain circumstances by which people become somewhat dissatisfied with the situation. The circumstance has kind of like become a bit overwhelming. It's changed, it's shifted, and people have to adapt to the circumstance. Ortega talked about this in The Revolt of the Masses, a difference between the kind of, the kind of noble man and the kind of common man, and how it was, part of the pretext of that circumstance is that with each generation, something comes to which people have to adapt. We'll go into some of those details. But first, in the last couple of weeks, I've been having some conversations with my friends, and I remember a situation where I came upon somebody who was kind of enmeshed in a kind of like a family dispute or kind of family squabble. And in these kind of dysfunctional situations, sometimes these conversations and these situations overwhelm everything and they become the entire reality. I read this last week in regards to a different situation. I'm going to read it again. Okay, now I'm reading from Ralph Waldo Emerson's essays, right? Collection of essays, and from his 1936 essay, Nature. At the very beginning, he says, "Our age is retrospective. It builds the sepulchres of the fathers. It writes biographies, histories, and criticism. The foregoing generations behold God and nature face to face. We through their eyes." Not good. "Why should not we also enjoy an original relation to the universe? Why should we not have a poetry and philosophy of insight and not of tradition, and a religion of revelation to us and not the history of theirs?" Now, that's the basic premise. And again, I found this piece. I've been looking for it, and I finally found my copy, and I'm glad to have found it. Anyway, Julie, give us an introduction of how you see this circumstance, how you see this item, this issue.
Well, I see this as an evolution of rapid adaptation to constant changes in one's environment. I think there have just been heaps and heaps of stressors, not just on us, not just on humans, on animal life, on plant life, on whole ecosystems. And novel utility is basically the hallmark of those species who are able to adapt, invent, and survive. Mm-hmm. And I'll talk about this more on Saturday night. But one example is a really exciting revelation I just came across, which is a missing link of sorts between aquatic and terrestrial plants. And that missing link can be found in lignins, which is basically how plants adapt to their environment with rapid evolution and advantageous morphologies. It's getting woody, it's thickening and strengthening their cells and stems. And that process makes plants resilient, and it makes plants strong, and it makes plants basically have a long life and reach old age. So it turns out that there is, and I'll save this for us Saturday, an exciting aquatic species, the only one of its kind, I believe, that has acquired a lignification advantage.
Okay. Okay. I mean, we also talked about the idea of kind of like that's related to kind of lateral horizontal gene transfer, as well as like the basic principle of symbiogenesis, which is the fact that there's more of a kind of like a network of kind of relationships than there is like actually a tree. And that seems to kind of shift at a certain scale. Anyway, I think there's my personal feeling is, yes, we're at the brink of a new time. I kind of think it's not just a kind of change of a kind of a shift. I think it's a kind of catastrophic thing, like the difference between, say, the industrial age and the modern age. I think it would be kind of something along those similar lines. Well, certainly but I think what we're seeing is what this new age is to be called. But I think we're starting to see some of those things by which that's going to take place. But again, even within the industrial age and modern age and the Enlightenment, there were kind of periods within those things that kind of made sense. But I think we're about to enter into that. For me, that the circumstances of my own area of kind of thinking, which is architecture, I see certain things regarding mobility, regarding technology, regarding kind of like, certain things that are starting to evolve, the idea of certain techniques and the idea of certain realities certainly gives the opportunity for these things to take place. In fact, one of the great shows that I've, like one of those minor shows that became a major show, it's in a couple of small rooms, but the Gothic show at the Metropolitan Museum has been a constant source of conversation for me and some of my friends here. And it's been, I hope it continues to be as flourishing and as enriching as it has started out to be. So I think in this case, with the ambition precedes the technical capabilities. And I think we've become a little bit wary of kind of ambition. And I think that this dissatisfaction, we've trained the last generation of this period, of the former period, to be wary and reluctant to venture forth in terms of ambition. But I really believe that at this point, the geniuses who kind of like passed along the principles, then that were taken up by the institutions and the academies to be looked after and kind of like protected, have now gotten to the point where these individuals who kind of look after these things within the institution, these are not the geniuses that bring about a new time. These are just the people who kind of are the caretakers of these things until the next time arrives. And I think that's where we are. I think the geniuses of now are kind of looking upon technique and looking upon these kind of things that we start to see as the things from which will bring us to this next place. Again, organic design thinking, which is my own particular approach to this, is basically a kind of like, it becomes very dependent on drawings and models. And I think it's because I identify certain things, folding, mobility, technology. I mean, the some of the conversations that I've been asked to look into, which I hadn't paid attention to for years, seem incredibly sentimental to me. And I mean, romanticism is not inherently sentimental. It's only sentimental when it becomes pathological, when it is no longer looking forward, but it's basically kind of looking into the past. So I think that, a healthy, organic romanticism or kind of like romantic image is certainly something that's possible, but I just don't believe that it's, it's in the current state that it sees itself. Anyway, sorry, back to you.
Okay, I only have a minute left.
No, you have as much time as you need, Pete.
Okay, so don't go over 10.
No, I didn't say go. I'd say we're trying to get to 10.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. Say as much as many as you need to, Pete.
Say.
Look at you. Flustered here. Have some tea's tea. That'll make you feel. Oh, Pete. Pangle's looking after you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anywho, I will be discussing mycofabrication on Saturday morning, which is organic architecture in the petri dish, or I should say, in the cradle of basically mycology, study of fungi and mushrooms. And Bruce has always talked about growing his own buildings years and years before people could really wrap their heads around such a phenomenal and wonderful and original idea. I will be talking about the afterlife of white rot fungi. I will also be discussing um, the history and evolution of the architect's plummet, a fascinating tool. And in fact, the architect's plummet is in our header for both this preview, and we'll keep the same header for our episode. And that is my painting from about a year and a half ago
Mm-hmm.
called Nacre Duet Fissures in the Pearl Fissures, wherein I used an architect's plummet that is still on display in the Southeast Asian wing at the Met. And I will be talking about that. I would like to send a hello and a shout out to our new subscriber, which is the wonderful Ferdi Italian restaurant in the West Village, which I have to say,
Oh, you said it was yummy.
it was yummy. It was a revelation, sophisticated and relaxing, a genuinely welcoming, charming owner and staff who has the name of the opera Aida, which is actually her grandmother's name too. And they are our new subscribers. And I ate there for the first of hopefully many times. We'll go
That's
back.
good. I mean,
And
honestly,
the food was phenomenal.
a new fun restaurant in the West Village.
Oh,
Italian
yeah.
would be great. I mean, West Village has struggled. at times.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is the best
Yeah.
Italian
Good,
place I've
Okay.
found in a long time.
All right.
so.
Last words.
Yes, we will be talking about the intersection of architecture, plant science, marine science, and opera.
Perfect. All
Yeah.
right. So we'll see you on Sunday. The Realm of
Mhm.
Ideas is free to all and to benefit all for it to keep us just that way.
Precisely.